I found copies of my own bank records. But the transactions weren't mine. Thousands, maybe millions, siphoned into hidden accounts. And every single one of them traced back to one name. The moment I opened the envelope, everything changed. Inside were copies of my bank records. Thousands, maybe millions, funneled into accounts I didn't recognize. All tied to one name. Brian, my husband. In that moment, my perfect life stopped making sense. My name is Emma. I was born into money. Old money. My family is known more for their legacy than forging new paths. But I didn't rely on family money. I built my own path in tech and finance. Years of working tirelessly turned into something big. Bigger than I ever expected. 3 years ago, I married Brian. And from the outside, everything looked perfect. Beautiful home. Elegant parties. The kind of life people envied. Every morning he kissed my forehead and said, "Morning, beautiful." And I believed him. Brian came from privilege too. Highly educated and groomed to carry on his family's legacy. He was charming, polished. The kind of man everyone trusted. We met at a conference. Felt effortless. I didn't know it then. But none of it was real. Then came the envelope. I sat there, staring at the numbers. Trying to make sense of them. That's when it hit me. This wasn't a mistake. I didn't know what to do. So I called my most trusted friend Claire. She came over right away. She looked at the documents and went quiet. "Emma, you need someone to investigate this." "Do you know someone?" Clara nodded. "Jack Thompson. He's discreet and very good." That's when I hired Jack Thompson. He got started right away. And everything changed. His first warning? Don't tell your husband. Seeing how overwhelmed I was, Clara suggested that I get Brian out of town for a few days, giving me time to gather my emotions and more information before confronting him. Under the guise of helping me solve a situation, I managed to secure about 10 days before he would return. Nights turned into routines, checking accounts, calling my lawyer, locking everything down, and when it was quiet, I cried. It hurt. But I refused to let everything I built be taken away from me. Days passed. Then weeks. There were still moments of confusion, of weakness. And the truth kept getting worse. I struggled to maintain normalcy, forcing smiles, playing the part of the devoted wife. But inside I unraveled. Every late night, every missed call, every "don't wait up," started to feel different. And the worst part? A part of me still wanted to believe him. One morning as Brian dressed for work, adjusting his cufflinks with effortless sophistication, I studied him closely. I kept asking myself, was any of it real? "I'll be home late," he said, like it was nothing. I forced a smile, nodding as if everything was normal. The second the door closed, my emotions spilled over. I couldn't pretend much longer. The uncertainty was unbearable. I couldn't go on like this. I needed answers. The silence was shattered by my phone. The screen lit up with a name I suddenly was afraid to see. Jack Thompson. Jack's voice was grave. "Emma, we need to meet. I found something." My hands clenched around the phone. "I'll be there in an hour." At the cafe he didn't waste time. Jack slid a folder across the table. "You were right," he said. "Your husband's been moving money." My stomach dropped. It started small. But it didn't stay that way. I flipped through the pages. Names. Accounts. Transfers. Over and over again. Then he said something I'll never forget. "This isn't just Brian. It's his whole family." The accounts belonged to his parents, siblings, even distant relatives like aunts, uncles, and cousins. Every transaction carefully disguised. Jack continued grimly. "It's a well-orchestrated scheme. I found records of them digging into your background, your finances, and your family dated over 6 years ago. They have been working together to gain access to your money." The words struck like a physical blow. My world tilted. I couldn't breathe. Even though I had been sure of Brian's involvement since finding the envelope, nothing could have prepared me for the shock of discovering evidence implicating his entire family. I had married into a family that had welcomed me with open arms, always eager to offer guidance and support. I felt especially close to his mother, whose warmth and thoughtful gestures always made me feel loved and included. Then the horror set in 6 years. Before I even knew him. The man I love, the life I thought was real. It was all a lie. And then, something changed. Not because I didn't understand. Because I finally did. The shock faded. And something colder took its place. I looked at Jack. Find everything. The shock and betrayal ignited a fierce determination in me. I had been targeted by the man I love and his family. I refused to be a pawn any longer. I immediately reached out to my lawyer and filled him in on everything. A decision was made. I wasn't going to confront Brian quietly. I was going to expose Brian and his family in a way that would not be soon forgotten. So I planned a lavish dinner party, attended by the city's elite and both families. That evening, the dining room hummed with lively conversation and laughter. When the moment was right, poised with effortless grace and elegance, I lifted my glass and tapped it gently, commanding the room's attention. "Thank you all for coming," I began, my voice warm and inviting. "Tonight is special. I want to honor family. Especially the family I married into. The wonderful people who have embraced me so wholeheartedly." Brian's smile faltered slightly, his eyes wary. "Emma, what's this about?" "Brian," I said sweetly, "would you and your family join me up front?" Confused, they gathered, exchanging uncertain glances. Nearly 4 years ago, I married into a family that welcomed me with open arms. They were always eager to offer guidance, support my businesses, and help secure my financial future. Their generosity seemed boundless. So tonight, I want to show my gratitude for all they've done. Go ahead, dim the lights. And then, the truth lit up the room. Projected onto the wall for all to see were records of financial transfers, hidden accounts linked to various family members, and the damning evidence of Brian's family meticulously researching and plotting against me and my family for over 6 years. The room went quiet. A wave of murmurs and confused glances rippled through the room. Then the whispered questions started. I remained silent, allowing the weight of what they were witnessing to sink in. Turning my gaze to Brian, my warm expression faded. I looked at him. "I know everything. I know you and your relatives targeted me and my family's wealth years ago, long before we met. I know our marriage was nothing more than a carefully planned scheme. And I know that you all intended to take everything I created and worked for, from me." The room plunged into stunned silence. Brian's face drained of color. "Emma, I can explain." I folded my arms, my voice raised razor-sharp for all to hear. "Explain it," I said. "Explain the accounts. The transfers. The stolen money. Explain the stolen passwords. Explain the multiple accounts where you funneled my money to accounts controlled by your family. Go on, we're all waiting." Brian's mouth opened, then closed. No words came. His face paled as the weight of his exposure settled over him. Brian's mother stepped forward, her voice trembling with urgency. "Emma, dear, can't you see? There's been some terrible mistake. Brian loves you, there's no doubt about that. Our entire family loves you. You are one of us. People envy the bond we share, the closeness of our family. I tell you now, Brian and our family have been framed. The real culprits are out there manipulating things, trying to tear us apart by making us look guilty. But you know the truth, don't you, dear? You know how much we love you. All of us, we would never harm you. We would never allow anyone else to harm you either. We are family, and together we will get to the bottom of this and make those responsible pay." I nodded slowly, a cold smile forming on my lips. "Wow," I said, my voice dripping with irony. "I guess we finally know who the true mastermind behind this fraud is." That was quite the performance. Truly impressive. "Emma, sweetheart, you're confused. You've always been so emotional." I let my gaze sweep across the room before settling back on her. "Thank you for reminding us all just how skilled you and your family are at manipulation. I've spent too much time blaming myself for not seeing it sooner, but now I understand. You've had years of practice. Around the room, Brian's family members shifted uneasily. Then one by one they began edging toward the exits. Before they could escape, uniformed officers stepped forward, blocking every doorway. Then a voice cut through the room. "Nobody leaves." And just like that, the illusion was over. The room fell into stunned silence as the authorities moved in, detaining them all. "Oh, my wonderful in-laws," I called out, voice dripping with false warmth. "Please come back. There's more." Realizing they had no escape, Brian's family hesitated before shuffling back toward me, their discomfort palpable. My expression remained poised as I lifted my chin. "I just want to lay everything out in the open so there are no misunderstandings." I let the words hang in the air before continuing. "Every transfer has been tracked. All of your accounts have been frozen. And as you can see, the proper authorities have been notified. They have questions for each of you." My gaze swept across the room, locking onto each guilty face. Then finally I turned to Brian. I looked at him one last time. "I loved and trusted you completely. But I refuse to be taken advantage of any longer. My assets are secure. I have filed for divorce. You don't get to take anything else from me." I inhaled deeply, the weight of betrayal lifting from my shoulders. I had lost the illusion of our love, but in doing so I had reclaimed myself. And that was worth everything. 8 months later, everything is different. When his relatives realized the legal peril they faced, they quickly turned on one another. As a result, much of the stolen money was returned, along with assets I hadn't even known were taken. Deeds to rental properties and vacation homes had been quietly transferred to LLCs controlled by Brian's family. They had been far busier than I had imagined. In the aftermath, most of Brian's family faced fines, probation, and court-ordered restitution. But Brian and his mother weren't as lucky. They are now facing criminal charges and the possibility of jail time. Their family's once pristine reputation has crumbled. Country club memberships were revoked, exclusive private schools refused to enroll their children, and their businesses, now tainted, struggle to survive. No one wants to be associated with them anymore. A few days ago, Brian sent me a letter. I haven't opened it. Maybe I never will. As the truth is, I already got my closure. Not from his words, but from watching everything he and his family built fall apart. As for my family, we've taken extra precautions to secure our finances. We've become more guarded, retreating into our own little world, unwilling to let others in too quickly. The betrayal is still fresh, but we are determined to reclaim our place in the community and reconnect with our true friends and neighbors, on our own terms and in our own time. Now, I'm building something new, something stronger. I'm developing new fraud detection software to help prevent others from enduring what I went through. And this time, no one's taking anything from me. Thank you for watching till the end. Please like, subscribe, share, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single story from the Biohazard Zone.